All right. Welcome to the Sustainable Alaska podcast. I am Kelly with Tandy here, and we are making it with our endless days of summer and trying to stay on schedules and get everything done. And so we are happy that you are here with us as well. I I listen to a lot of podcasts, Tandy, so the thing that you always hear, but this is actually very important. If you like listening to our podcast, subscribe to it, like it, give us a positive review. If you don't have a positive review, probably you can keep it to yourself, and that's okay. But no, we actually love to hear from you, and this really is Tandy and I just getting to talk, and so I think we both hope that whether you put us in your ear or you sit and you listen to us as you go, that you just join us in our conversation that we're having. I got to close my window because my son is mowing the yard like I asked him to do, so I can't be mad about that extra noise. Anyway, how are you doing, Tandy?
I'm good. I'm good. I don't know if you can see this. So last week, the forecast showed some days that are in the 70s. And Wednesday was 70 degrees, and then the rain started. And according to the forecast, that was it. And I was like, Wednesday, that's our last 70-degree day. And so in your mind, you just kind of start to prepare this because we're already not usually in the 70s in August. So and I don't think we're gonna hit 70. I think it's like 68 or something today, but we're sunny again. And it's so great. And I know you understand this. It's like we're not gonna waste a sunny day. So I've been out in my garden today. I'm harvesting all the cauliflower, well, most of the cauliflower, and got some broccoli yesterday, and so that stuff's going in the freezer today. And man, it feels so good to be out there. It just feels amazing to be out in the sunshine. And I keep telling myself, remember how good this feels. Remember you were outside in a tank top and you were warm in January because sometimes you think this winter season lasts forever. So, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's fan. We have sun also, which I thought the same thing was going to happen. I thought we had hit the end. Now we have the fall feel in the air a little bit, but it's sunny and it's supposed to be nice. And I'm very much in the same place that you are. All of a sudden, my garden is producing, which is new for me. Because being in Kodiak, I'm a garden failure, but not this year. And and so I'm pulling out huge cabbages and I plant the things I love. And so I am, yeah, a little overwhelmed by all of the extra produce and things, but it's been so nice to have it. So,
it is. And to not, every week I'm trying to buy less and less, go to the grocery store less. So every week I'm thinking, what can I pull from where? Because it doesn't just have to be like I have chives growing randomly everywhere. And what can we find? What can we gather? What can we have? And although I did make a monumental decision this week, and it kind of has to do with what's happening on our farm. Um, I think I'm going to scale back my garden for 1 year next year. And I think I'm just going to buy produce from people because there's plenty. I found a local source for green beans. I found a local source for broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage. Well, I have to find a local source. I have a local source for cabbage because I got slugs really bad, but I also got these nasty worms in there. And we do a lot of ferments, and I just can't pull that apart and find. Ugh. So, no cabbage off of this place is getting thrown in. Mabel and the chickens get all the wormy, sluggy cabbage. So,
protein in your sauerkraut.
yeah,
No.
no, I don't think so. So next year we're gonna do, and this may change because then you get but you think I'm not gonna do this again, and then you get the bug in January. But we'll do. Our onions are doing really well. They always do. And we grow a whole year's worth of onions. We grow a whole year's worth of garlic, a whole year's worth of potatoes. And I think that might kind of be, and I'll do some peas because they're easy. And I think that might be where we stop. Some herbs. Um, and just take a year and kind of regroup and rethink. And yeah,
Yeah.
so there's, I just need a minute to enjoy summer. And this isn't helping. So, and it's affordable. If I can support, if I can afford to support other local people who are doing a far better job at growing the stuff than I am and free up some time, maybe is that a step backwards
Oh
in
yeah. No,
sustainability? Or
I think
I
that's a
hope it's
step
not a
forward.
step backwards.
I think it's a solid step. Do you ever think, or do you ever, you see folks that'll do this where you try to eat everything that you have produced, see how long, like people take like, I'm going to do a month or I'm going to do 2 months of only food that I have produced or I've gotten locally. Do you think that you'd ever be able to be at that point?
Well, that's always our goal. We grow the majority of our vegetables because in the winter our vegetables consist of broccoli and cauliflower and ferments. That's pretty much it. So I don't buy a lot of vegetables in the winter, and then of course we're a fruit and berry farm, so um I do bring in fruit because I like different fruit sometimes than what we can grow. And then of course, we get a beef every year. We get at least one pig because that's what we do for the expo. We just buy the pig for the expo that gets slaughtered. So we get that, and then we grow our own chicken. So we're already pretty dang
Doing
close.
a
So,
lot. Yeah,
yeah. So if someone else grows it, but it's never left the state, I still feel like that's a win.
I think that's a win. I think that's a big win. And you're still having to preserve it in some way, that you
Yeah.
get that there and you're still having to. I had
Yeah.
decided this year, last year I did all my own starts. And
Mm.
I did not like that. I was really not happy about doing all my own starts. So this year, our local greenhouse that we have, they do such a great job. And I was like, I'm going to allocate and I'm just going to I'm going to buy. They're good at this. I'm not. And I don't know if that's part of, the success. Everything's just done really well. And so I'm like, oh, the $2 or, whatever I spent on those starts has paid dividends to me now to not take that extra time. And now I see, anyway.
I think that's a piece of it. This certainly wasn't the direction I know we planned to go today, but I just I can't tell you the relief. I mean, it almost makes me cry. The relief when Jean and I were talking about it yesterday, and I just said, I can't do it all. I can't keep up with everything. And not growing. I mean, we will, like I said, we'll do potatoes, we'll do the stuff that to me comes easy, and it doesn't but like my broccoli didn't head up this year. So I'm already having to buy broccoli because I got no heads on my broccoli. I don't know why. Same seeds we've always done. I have no idea. I don't even care. That's the thing. I don't care. Someone else is getting these massive heads of broccoli. They're willing to sell it. I'm willing to buy it. Everyone's happy.
Everybody's happy. I agree. And
The
you
ch-
have to think there has to be able to be the enjoyment too. Um,
yeah.
and I've gone through that a lot too, even on the animal side and scaling back, when I got the cow, I never intended like not to want to milk goats, but now you really do. You take the step back and you're like, what's the best use of my time? I love it, and I've always been a people pleaser to a certain extent. So I'm like, oh, what are people gonna think if I don't do this?
Yeah.
Who cares? What do I think? What does my family think? And my husband always is back and saying, what's better for you? Like, what's gonna make what do you feel good about this? Are you extra tired? Do you love having 20 extra baby goats to feed morning and night? And anyway, so I think it's always good to take a step back, reevaluate, and there are different seasons.
Yeah. I think so too. Well, now I feel much better.
Oh,
So,
there you
um
go. But with that, I brought up this great idea, our great idea to pivot even today. Tandy has the best podcast ideas, and so we're gonna divert to my kind of okay idea today.
your idea is awesome, Kelly, and I can't wait. We're gonna have so much
No,
fun.
but and truly it comes back to you're looking at all the things that you have here. And like for me, I actually have zucchini and squash this year. I grew inside my greenhouse and I don't want to waste any of it, but I can't possibly eat all of it at the time. So I have been thinking, oh, okay, so what are the value added products that I can do, and what can I do today that my February self is going to thank me for doing? And there does come this point when I think, I'm just going to take this down to the farmer's market, or I'm just going to give this away because then I don't feel bad about it. But then I, was thinking as I was, looking at all this produce and seeing this beautiful cabbage, and then I was looking at the soil that was actually not soil, but it was all manure a year ago that I had decided to, try and turn into soil. So I have this incredible nutrient dense soil. You've grown this great food. That's the food you want to eat. So, my big thing is, what are the things that we can do to preserve the food, to have the motivation to do that? And so, whether that be canning or freezing or freeze drying or dehydrating. So, um, do you get overwhelmed ever with this? Like, do you
Oh,
have that and get so overwhelmed by it?
yeah. And like, especially like, even I have three things that I need to harvest in my garden, and I need to do them very orderly because they're going in my dehydrator, and my dehydrator can only fit so much. But when the rain's coming, they kind of need to be harvested sooner. So that kind of thing overwhelms me because I'm like, do I harvest it and then risk leaving it on the counter? I don't have room in a refrigerator to keep it. So yeah, or like right now, I'm getting ready to harvest all of my broccoli, and then I have this cauliflower that I got. It's a whole year's worth of broccoli and cauliflower that's going in the freezer today. So when you think about the magnitude of that job, of course, I do have a really cool tool that I would love to share about that because it's making my world so much easier. But but um but yes, to answer your question, I totally get overwhelmed, and I assume you do too sometimes with everything.
I do a lot. I was curious. I remember one of my first memories of you was telling a canning story, that your canner exploded or something had happened with your canner. But I'm curious, do you can or do you freeze more? Or is it equal? Are you a
Oh,
freezer or a canner?
I feel like they're so different. I do both.
You do
Yeah.
both. Okay.
I have five freezers and a massive canning thing that holds like 500 and some jars. So
Holy cow.
we just preserve food.
That is a really solid point though. I mean, I guess we have a big freezer also, that we use, but that's a key component here. Big time is the freezer. Now, I would say my hidden like power is that I'm going to take it and freeze it. And then that gives me time to then do something else with it later. Like if I have tomatoes, I stick them in the freezer before they go bad. And then like yesterday, I had time. And I was running out of some freezer space. We had kind of a freezer debacle, and I was like, I'll get the tomatoes out, because all the boys are like, Mom, what are these tomatoes? And so pulled out the tomatoes, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make these into tomato sauce, and I'll get that taken care of. Um, but again, I want to go back. I'm very curious about the item that you are using that's saving you right now.
Oh, that's okay. So, this I feel like I'm squirreling in this one, and I'm sorry too, but first I have to mention about your tomatoes. When you take your tomatoes and freeze them before you can them, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I totally found out by accident the skin comes off really easy. I take the core out before I freeze them. It's just easy. And then all I have to do is just kind of pinch it and the skin comes right off. And those skins go, I have the trays for my dehydrator sitting right next to me. So as I'm skinning tomatoes, the skins are going right onto my dehydrator trays and straight into my dehydrator. And then I have tomato powder that I use in taco seasoning or in like
Yay.
spaghetti or something that needs a little extra tomato flavor. And it's seamless. Like it takes me as much time to put those in the dehydrator as it does to just put them in the compost or something. It takes no extra time. And
That's incredible.
yeah, then we've used the whole tomato. I know, it's so great.
The whole thing.
And
That's
do you ever figure out things by accident and you're like, "Oh, that's so cool."
that's
Yeah.
so cool. I love that you do that. I do not, but I want to
Now,
now.
now you will, because it's super simple. It takes zero extra time. So I love tips like that. I don't like the tips that say, well, it's going to take you 5 or 6 more hours, but you're like, no, I don't even want to know. Don't even tell me.
don't have I don't have that time. My dad has this cool tomato sauce. It was one of those Instagram things that I posted on Instagram and it has like 22 million views. I looked at it the other day because I was like, Dad, you're famous. He
What
takes
is it? I
Well,
missed it.
he puts his tomato in the Vitamix, the whole thing, like skin, everything. Vitamixes it down, and we put it into a big tea jug that has the spigot at the bottom. And then it
Okay.
separates the juice from the thicker portion. And so he gets the juice off, and then he has that sauce. And that's what he uses, but he doesn't have to worry about the extra juice. By all means, save the juice. That is the most like the comment the most like why doesn't he save the juice and my dad's like why would I save the juice like they're like this is like drink it and he's like I don't want to drink the juice anyway but that's how he does and then he takes his sauce and he just leaves it he doesn't can it he puts it back into the freezer then in bags so he does a lot of so
That is
that's when I asked the freezer to canning I had grown up more freezing more things than canning we weren't because in the summer in Nebraska it was so hot that my parents didn't want to make the house hot by canning things so they froze a lot of stuff it's been since I've been an adult that like I have my canner here and my justification always is if the power goes out, if we have a problem, I have a propane, heater. I know how to can stuff and I have the jars. I can do that. We're gonna start canning stuff fast and furious. We're gonna get all this meat. We're gonna get all these things. But
Yeah,
okay.
it's true. And that juice, I actually can my tomato juice too, because when you freeze it, then the juice kind of separates out anyway.
Okay.
And I use the juice for making rice. I'll use it in place of water for making rice.
Oh my
So then it makes like Spanish rice, and it's got that kind of tomato flavor. And so, but it's just a matter of, and I think, and this is, I want to make sure I say this right because this is hopefully this is a compliment. Um, in when you live in some place like Nebraska where you plant a tomato plant and it produces prolifically every
God.
year you're going to get
Right,
amazing tomatoes, then it's really easy to like your dad might say, why keep the juice? There's always going to be juice. But here we kind of have we're year by year, man. And like this year, my broccoli didn't produce. My son and his wife have a ton of broccoli, and so she gave me some, and I'm going to go buy some. But it isn't. It just isn't. It's and I'm not trying to say it's harder to live here in every regard, but in some regards, it is a little bit trickier. And I think utilizing every piece because we work so hard for it. I mean, we start tomatoes in February when it's still dark most of the time, and
when
it's
I'm like looking at my green little tomatoes and I'm like, please turn red. Please turn red, and he's like, I've got so many tomatoes. And I'm like, look at my 10 zucchini. And he's like, I have 50. And I'm like, my 10. It is, and you don't. And I think that comes back to the idea that, it's worth kind of pushing through the being tired or feeling a little overwhelmed because you have worked so hard for that little item, piece that you have and to have nutrient dense food, I think also further in Alaska is harder to come by. And so if you can get that locally produced from your own soil food, I think overall you're helping yourself, because you got to combat those dark days of winter and that nutrient denseness that you're going to get is important. So,
it's
yeah.
very
Oh my goodness. All right, we
okay.
have to go back to your key item. I haven't forgotten about your item.
Okay. So, a few years ago, kind of on a whim, though it's kind of an expensive whim buy, but I bought a steam juicer. And I bought it because and this thing is huge. It's massive. What the point of it is there's a stock pot on the bottom, but it's big. It's multi-gallon. And then on top of that is a like a catchment is the second. It's three. It's stacked into three, and at the top is a colander. So what you do when you're using it as a juicer, you're going to throw and basically the reason I got it was because we're a fruit farm, and sometimes we just end up with fruit that is less than desirable, but it's not. I mean, it's perfectly good, but we can't really sell it. So I was trying to come up with ways to use this stuff. So I thought, well, we can juice it. So you throw the fruit in the top, and it's a colander. So then it steams up, and it steams the fruit, and then it falls down into that catchment area, and then there's a little hose attached to it where you let the juice out, and then you've got pure juice. So one day I happened to, this was like 2 or 3 years ago. Well, first of all, remember I think in groups of 52. I don't know if we've talked about this before. So there's 52 weeks in a year. So we'll have broccoli once or twice a week, and we'll have broccoli once a week and cauliflower once or twice a week. So I always make sure I have 52 at least broccoli plants and 104 cauliflower plants because that's how much we eat. And actually more than that because I ferment a lot of cauliflower too. So so it's a lot to do. And and I don't particularly like it to get mushy. So I've always thought there's got to be a better way than blanching this stuff because and it takes forever because you get the water boiling, you put your broccoli in there, you strain it back out, your water's not boiling anymore, and all that and your water's bright green, your broccoli's limp and ugly, and it just always felt like there's a better way. So one day I was using this, I had the steam juicer out. I wasn't using it, but I had the steam juicer out. And I don't know what the inspiration was, but I thought, man, that's a big old colander. I wonder if I could just steam vegetables in it. So I took the middle piece out, the part that the juice catchment. So now it's just a literally big massive steamer. And so I can throw like heaps of broccoli and cauliflower in it and put the lid on. It steams now. Instead of going and being immersed in water, it's steaming. It comes out so bright green. My broccoli comes out beautiful. And then when you cook it up, it's still kind of crisp. Like the stems are still a little bit
Oh,
crisp. They're not mushy and yucky. So, and it goes so fast. I haven't even started because I was collecting stuff and then I forgot we were doing the podcast.
that's
So,
great.
so I haven't even started, but I'll be done by dinner. I will have a year's worth of cauliflower and well, not quite a year's worth of broccoli, in my freezer before dinner tonight. And we're recording, it's 1:52 right now. So it's
Wow.
so fast. And
That
it's
is awesome.
yeah, and it's all now my daughter-in-law, I told her about it and she didn't have a steam juicer and they're kind of expensive. She didn't really have a need for one. So she has a great big stock pot and she just bought a big colander to go inside with the and uses the stock pot lid and she's doing that this year and it works just the same. So obviously get innovative and but I highly recommend steaming it instead of blanching it and it gives you a better product. You save all those nutrients and man it tastes better and it's so fast.
So cool. I like your point about being innovative. I think that as Alaskans, that is such a thing. Like here you have another product, and that's just part of our DNA. You must be innovative to be able to get your things done. That is incredible.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love anything when I can get done fast. And especially when it makes it better. It's like this is like a win, 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 win. It's great.
Absolutely better. I this year decided to figure out a way to use my way beyond the
Ooh.
pigs. Like so I was like, there's got to be some, and I was like, I'm not confident. I want to make more cheese. I have a hard time focusing even on fast cheeses. And so I started to research and I started to make whey lemonade this year for the first time. So it's my whey with lemon juice and just some honey. And it actually lasts a long time. So I had and you do get to where like I don't have as many pigs this year. We had a tricky year with pigs and I wasn't able to get my breeding sow that I have bred. So we had to kind of just normally I would have had piglets and we would have been feeding out 5 pigs right now. So I don't have that same need for whey that I've been able to normally like, oh, I give this to the pigs and I'll eat it later. So this whey lemonade has become quite the deal. And I think that there is the point too, like that I have plenty for us to drink. And I have I have a 15-year-old son that's trying to get to 100 pounds by his freshman year. Like Gray is not big. So we're like, how do we get you to gain weight, buddy? Like, all the nutrients dense foods that we can get. So that has been one too, that there's plenty of then for us to, the pigs still get some whey. We get the whey lemonade, and then I'm actually able to put it down in the shop as well. So those are some of those other little, you just trying to be just a little bit innovative and doing direct sales. Like you have folks that come onto your farm and you're like, let me tell you how to use these berries, or here's this other option, and so for us being direct from farm, I have these people that are like, this looks very interesting. I'm like, let me tell you about it. Do you want a sample? Let me have you try that. And so those have been kind of fun. That's been a little innovation that we've made.
I love your whey lemonade idea. And you could take that and run with it. You could use any juice you wanted to from any, if you had extra raspberries, you could even do like a raspberry lemonade, or it is so cool. Tell me the health, do you know the health benefits of whey? Like it's
It's
got to
the
be fun.
it's the protein side of it that ends up, obviously you have that. The interesting part for us though, because I do raw milk, you can have a raw milk whey. So you're thinking about these extra probiotics that are also in that as well. And so that's something you're not necessarily getting with, other whey that you would have. So you have the extra protein, you have those probiotics that you're also getting with just a fresh product.
Oh my
And
God.
it's filling, so you've taken what was, everybody wants to drink lemonade in the summer, right? And so when we
Exactly.
have sun and it's nice, and that's what I've noticed when folks have tried it here, they're like, oh, this is like so refreshing, but there's no sugar in it. It's not a powder mix, but it also has a bit of a creaminess to
Mm,
it. And I know that might seem a little, it's if you've ever had like an orange Julius, only it's the lemon side a little bit. And
man.
the honey adds a little bit of the denseness. You could probably add maple syrup too. We are big honey fans in our family, so it's always about the honey. But um, anyway, so that's been our little innovation that we've come up with this summer. That's been really, really fun. I had a bunch of Coast Guard, like bodybuilder kind of guys come to the farmer's market, and they bought me out on Saturday with all of it. And I thought it was so funny. And I told Steven, I said, I love that, like, I said something about like them wanting to hang out. He's like, you want to hang out with these young? I was like, no, I like that they like our product. Like I'm too old to hang out with young people like that, but anyway, it was really fun to see some young folks that are like, oh, this is good stuff. So
Yeah, that's really great. And you're taking like you could go to the store and get in a little plastic bottle, a lemonade that's got probably no lemon. I don't even know what they put in that stuff. Or you've got this super nutrient dense food that's using a product that you have anyway, and you might as well use it. You're brilliant, Kelly. I love it.
we're trying to be a little bit innovative. Now, you mentioned that you have that you dehydrate a lot. Have you ever done a freeze dryer? Do you have a freeze dryer at all?
Don't we just our house is really small. And I, this is, sometimes they say homesteaders are quirky. So I have a spot for a freeze dryer, but instead I'm choosing to put a wine fridge in there. And you might say, a wine fridge? Why? That's weird because we don't drink wine. I mean, we don't make wine, we don't drink wine, we don't any of that stuff. It's going to be my cheese cave. So,
Nice.
so I am opting for a cheese cave over a freeze dryer. So I don't have room for one, and I'm okay with that. How about you? Do you use one?
We did. We went for it. So, Steven does whale tours, and at the end of the season, he's the best. I think that you have to have the best husband to be a homesteader that really supports these things. And he's like, I know you really want this freeze dryer. Like we had these, let's do that with these tips that we got. And I was like, absolutely. Anyway, I put ours in our entryway where it can be because they're hot. Like they can get, heat up everything. But we put it in our Arctic entryway where we don't have heat. But especially in the winter, it dries out everything. So it's kind of a win-win. I don't have to worry about putting a space heater in there or anything like that. And we do, I have, it's a love-hate all at the same time. It's been an interesting learning curve for me. The best thing that I have had are with my kids, so if we end up like I had extra salmon berries this last year and I could freeze dry them and they can put those in little bags and take them to school or take them to an event and have them. The other one is like even at the store, if there are tons of bananas that come up on sale and I want to just capitalize on that, obviously I know they're not going to last forever. The freeze dryer for bananas has been really good. And then I got into, have freeze dried milk and then turn it into powdered milk. And that's been a bonus, that we've been able to have then in the winter. We'll have powdered milk, or I powderize my colostrum. That's something that I do a lot with. I keep a lot of colostrum on hand and I have it, obviously as backup for us, but we've had it where there's puppies that don't have a mom or a bear cub comes in and so we can have a little bit of that. So having it freeze dried to free up my freezer space that is so valuable has been nice as well. So that's it. Yes, I like it. There are some people that like put their whole meals in it and they freeze dry. I just have found that I don't use it for that so much. If I'm looking to really try and like stockpile food for 25 years from now and put it into Mylar bags, with yes, that's one thing I have not. I'd rather just maybe get a bucket of, forever food and put it somewhere else. And then we just use this for more snack type things. Or like if I do, like I'll get a produce box and if I'm not going to make it through that fruit before it's going to go bad, I'll stick it in the freeze dryer and then the kids will eat it. So it's become more of in that sense kind of a money saver option for us.
Absolutely. And maybe sometimes I think it's not as much a money saver, but it saves you from waste. And that's a
Yes.
big deal too. I think you've hit on something important with this, Kelly. This is so smart. Not every gadget do we all need. And I think and we're free to want the gadgets we want, that we'll use. And also to say, I probably just won't use that. And it's okay if the person next to you is like, but I use mine all the time. And I hear that a lot. They'll say, well, you need this or you should, or I probably did that with my steam juicer. I was like, everyone needs one. But it really depends on what your specific needs are. And most, most of us probably don't have I see the big gigantic Pinterest kitchens and I'm like, oh, but mine's really small. And so every single appliance and every single thing needs to do multiple, it's got to have multiple jobs or be utilized all the time to be worth the space too. So but I love that. I love that you have this freeze dryer and you're not utilizing it for the meals and things that a lot of people would say. You're like, no, this is what I use it for. And been a tremendous help and blessing. And I think that's really important. Good topic.
Not wasting as much.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you had any, this was one of these questions I thought of. Have you had any items like that well, you kind of talked about this at the beginning, I guess, in thinking about that you trade for. You're like, I know I'm going to make lots of this, and then maybe I'll trade it with another person in the community so I can have other items in the year.
Yes. Can I start this off with
Yeah.
we have to be careful about things. So, there are certain things that are not legal to trade, so you shouldn't necessarily mention them in public forums. So,
Interesting.
game is
Oh,
not legal for public trade. So, for instance, it wouldn't be legal for me to trade my chicken for salmon. Um, so also,
true. That's really true. How do I not know this?
it's really true. And it's
Why
also
is that a deal?
it's
Oh,
the dumbest thing ever, if you ask me. But I
okay.
kind of understand. I think the reasoning behind it is, we have a lot of salmon up here, and if we're exploiting it, then if people are exploiting the salmon, but they are. It's just not us little fishermen aren't, but whatever. Anyway, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
So I just want to say you have to be careful. I can't say that I trade someone, I give them 20 chickens and they give me half of their moose.
Oh,
You can't do that, or you can't say it publicly, or however I'm supposed to say that.
got it. Got it.
But yes, I think bartering is the coolest thing for the same reason, just like you said, like if you were my neighbor, I would totally barter with you because I would love some freeze-dried salmon berries, but I don't want to have a freeze dryer. But maybe I have something that you want, you know, maybe I could bring over my steam juicer and you could use it and do all your broccoli in one day or, you know, whatever. Um, and we all have gifts. So my wine, I'm getting a wine fridge. That came totally out of the blue. Jean happened to be talking to a customer and she said, I've always wanted to learn to make cheese, but I don't really, you know, there's online classes and all that. And she's like, and they own restaurants. This person that I'm talking about owns several restaurants. So she has 3 wine fridges. She doesn't need them all. She was thinking about getting rid of one of them. She's like, oh, I should probably sell it or something. And so she said to me, would you teach me how to make cheese in return for this wine fridge? And I could have turned cartwheels. Of course I will. So yeah, I think sorry, that
That
was
is
a
amazing.
yeah. So what are your bartering ideas?
Uh, Mine always come down to anything milk related because like I am rich in milk. I am definitely that becomes, you know, my biggest trading option. And normally it's just like it's kind of ridiculous. Like I have a friend, I'm like, "Oh, I will give you all this milk if you make supper for me tonight and have it at my house." You know, like if they're like, "Oh, we're gonna make this," I'm like, "Can you throw a few extra of those on? Because Steven's whale watching and we're milking late. And if you like, I will give you this extra cheese and skyr, or like if you just want all the milk from the cow today, that's great. And you give me a couple of suppers during our busy season, that is definitely a huge help to me. And it does come into a lot of even like uh work exchange for food. Like,
Yeah.
you know, my body does not work how it used to, you know, 4 knee surgeries, just other things. Like I have just been really tricky tough on my body. So you know, if I have a couple of folks that are like, "Oh, we kind of like to do something," I will trade you. I will trade you, you know, you can come have this experience on the farm and muck this shelter for me, and I will give you, you know, these things. So that ends up becoming a big trade for me. Or lots of ice cream trades are made. Yeah.
So two thoughts are coming to my mind. First of all, uh you just touched on something so much bigger than just you meeting someone else's need and them meeting your need. You're building community
Mm.
because that person is when you say, listen, I don't have time to make dinner. You're putting these amazing smelling burgers on your grill and I can smell them. I will trade you milk for one of those burgers. That's doing life together, Kelly. And that's also you saying, which is super, super, super important. That's you saying, I'm not Superwoman and I can't do it all. And there is zero shame in that. There is zero shame in saying, I don't know what I'm going to get my family for dinner because we have been moving nonstop all day and I didn't get anything out of the freezer. And I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but
I
it
hear you. I hadn't necessarily thought about it that way, but
it
yeah.
just feels like we've been kind of conditioned that we have to do it all and be it all and everything, and it isn't how it is. And when we can, so I just asked, we do a produce orders, um that where we bring in produce from the lower 48. My husband has said as long as the trucks are running, then we're bringing up peaches because life without peaches just is not worth it. So we do some produce orders for people, and bring up quite a bit. And a friend of mine was worried I wasn't going to do it this year because I said I'm just too busy, and she said, well, then let me help. Well, I don't really need her help with the produce order, but she is the most fantastic gardener in the world. And I just mentioned that my garden is having an issue. So I just texted her today and I said, I'll tell you what, sweet Kelsey, I love you to pieces. And here's what you can do in return for your produce. Will you come make my garden not be what it is? Like, work your magic, do whatever you need to do. Help me figure out how we're going to get production out of what's left. And that's beautiful, but it was hard to do because I'd rather not admit that my garden's a mess. But it is. And that's just how it
That
is.
that is such a, you know, bonus piece with homesteading that is so valuable. that we are a community, that it's definitely like we are there, we want to help each other. And then to admit that we need a little bit of help.
That's really the hard part, that vulnerability piece. But here's the other thing I envision when you're talking about this. I'm envisioning like you standing there, you're like, I have a 3 gallon thing of mint chip ice cream. Who has a tractor I can use for a day? And they're all like bidding, and you're like, they're like, I'll throw in a hay rake and I'll throw in this and that.
It's amazing the power of ice cream. It's truly a remarkable, like right now, I have all the chicken chores taken care of from my community of kids because they come and they want ice cream for free. And I'm like, if I don't have to touch a rabbit today, that'd be awesome. Like, or if you want to go take all those broody chickens in there and get the eggs from underneath them, like, yes. I could be brave, but I don't like to be brave with the chickens. So
Yeah, I
um
love it.
those are all good parts. But anyway, I don't know that I have, much else. I don't know if you have anything else to add about these, value added products. But I guess the biggest thing is we all get tired. We all are trying to play Tetris with all of the things mounting, but I think if we divide and we conquer and then we use our community to help us and we get a little bit innovative in how we do things, I think that, we can like be happy in February that, maybe we were able to get, to feed ourselves, I guess, throughout the year.
I love that. Kelly, I want to bring back the to just kind of wrap it up. You made it, I don't know if you saw, I'm usually focused, but I had to write this down. When you said it, you said the question you're asking yourself is what can I do today that my February self will thank me for? And man, what a great, like, just a mindset when you're like, I am so overwhelmed. But it's remembering, looking forward, I'm doing this today and my February self is really going to be thankful. So that was really good, Kelly. That was a
Yeah.
great quote.
All right. Well, we'll think about February today when we're.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, Kelly, very
All
much.
right. Thank
Fun
you.
show.